I'm going to show you a few things that we've been doing for recruiting of jobs to be done interviews. I've got another one or two today, another one or two we're doing tomorrow. So since we're fresh and doing more interviews, I'll just show you kind of what's up and how we've been setting those up. Jobs to be done interviews. I did some with the Jobs to be done interview workshop, the switch workshop, so like the professional. So now we're doing them ourselves. We're gonna be doing some more with Ryan later on in the month, but now we're just kind of following up with some new people and doing our own Jobs to be done interviews. So I'm not gonna film the whole thing, but I'll let you listen on a little bit here. I'll share a little bit how we got these interviews, the template we use to ask people to sign up for these, and some of the tools that I use to kind of organize these things. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but it's been really worth it. What program did you end up downloading to record the call?
I don't know. Record a call?
Record a call?
Tape a call.
Tape a call.
Tape a call. It's like $10 for unlimited calls. So far it seems good. It's like you get it and then you can like share it with people and stuff.
Hi Alan, it's Nathan Cotney with High Rise. Just to set the stage, we are we're interviewing customers, but this interview might be a little different than the typical, getting into features you need and talking about the product. Like, we're really trying to go after some of the frustration you've had in basically doing a job at work that you bother to even look for a solution like High Rise. Interview went well. We only did 30 minutes, which probably could have been longer. I feel like I need to do a better job of drawing out even more stuff. But it's tough. Doing these interviews, that was hard. Like talking to this guy and like he's like, he's really super friendly and he's definitely, but I feel like I'm gonna cause him stress by asking him even more details. Like, can you remember the exact thing that you were doing? And I've noticed like Chris and Bob and Ryan are really good at this, and I need to get good at this. But there was like a moment where he's talking about like the other software packages he was checking out, and he didn't remember. And I probably should have like kept digging, but I didn't. I just sort of like let it pass. Yeah. Anyway, so now we're gonna do the debrief. I think it's probably pretty important to kind of cover the debrief. We talk about this is stuff that you should probably learn from looking into Bob and Chris's stuff, the Jobs to be done stuff, but we're going to talk about the forces, the pushes towards our product, the pulls that we have that pull them towards our product, and the things that are kind of giving them anxiety away from using our product. So we did this Jobs to be done interview. I'd give myself maybe a C at how well it went. It could have gone better. It wasn't bad. There was like some good, I think, conversation about stuff, but I didn't dig in enough. He would say something, and now I'm playing it back. I realize that all these little moments where I'm like, God damn it, I really should have dug in there. That's what's also so interesting. I'm actually telling Lynette about this course on Udemy about jobs to be done that the guys at Rewired Group put together. And I've taken the course. I bought the course. I've taken the course, but I think I've skipped some stuff. And I think even looking through it, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, of course, I get it. Sure, that's smart to talk about. I get it conceptually. But then as soon as you start doing your first interviews, you realize this is way harder than it looks. Now that we've done the interview, we've gone through the work, kind of like the worksheets of how you're supposed to kind of unpack the interview and categorize things and how you're going to kind of link it to other things. And it's kind of tough. What are you eating? Ice cream? Are you eating ice cream? I think this is definitely one of those situations where it requires practice. You can read and think you know this and do this conceptually, and you think you're gonna just bang out a few of these. I've been in on the interviews and done the analysis now of a few, now done the interview myself, and I've studied this quite a bit over the years, and I still kind of stink at it. So let's talk about stuff that I did now to kind of line up these interviews, because just the process of doing this has been a little stressful, a little tedious. Okay, the cat is throwing up my bag. Ah! In this episode of the vlog, there is more throw up. So the whole process of inviting people to these jobs to be done interviews isn't rocket science, but it's been kind of tedious, kind of a pain in the ass. So here's some things templates and tricks that we've been using. So first of all, just inviting people to the interviews. You need to like make sure that the folks that you're inviting are the people who bought your software. Sometimes it's someone who wants to give you feedback, but they're not the ones who made the purchase decision. And you really want to target the purchasers. I mean, it's great to get feedback from everybody, but specifically for these interviews, you want the person who made the purchase decision. And then when they purchased it, you want recent people. It's a rule. It's kind of a thumb up in the air kind of thing, but it's like about 90 days. Or in our case, I don't know, we focus anywhere from like 3 weeks to 6, 7, 8 weeks. So just in the last 90 days or some kind of short window, do they purchase the product? If you go too far, they can't remember like things that were going on in their heads when they actually purchased this thing. We use a tool called Heap. Heap is this analytics tool that we use, and it's awesome. It's an analytics tool that's capturing a lot of data and storing it, versus like having to go back into your analytics tool and start adding new things that you want to track manually each time you want to add something. So we go to Heap constantly to try to find people who did a certain thing. In this case, we used Heap to find a bunch of people who had signed up between this period and this period. We can get kind of specific if we want to like interview some people. We're going to start targeting some interviews at people who did a specific feature. Once we get this body of people that we want to invite, use a bulk email tool, something that you can track these people in their interviews. And I'm going to plug HighRise, of course. We use HighRise for this. Use something else. Use a spreadsheet if you want to, but HighRise really comes in handy for this because we use bulk email to then send out invites to all these people with a template. I could take a CSV file that gets exported out of Heap, easily import it into HighRise. Once you do it the first time, all the mappings of your fields stays remembered, so you can do it over and over again, and it's really easy. And then once they're in here, I can select a couple people or select them all, and then just click the email tab and pick this template that you want to send them, like, hey, here's my, the interviews that we're doing, etc. And I'll share a template in a second. But then I use this, and then we send out all the invites. And then as they come back, then I tag them. Like, hey, these are the people that I've invited, so that I know not to maybe invite them again. Or, as they start coming back, I start keeping track of different things. I'll use a tag in HighRise to keep track of whether or not they've passed, or whether or not they've expressed interest but couldn't schedule, so that I should follow up with them again. So use these tags to kind of keep track of like a pipeline or a workflow of how these people are entering into your interview process. And then at the end, so basically you need a CRM to keep track of all these interviews, to take the notes, to make sure where they are in the pipeline, to send bulk email, to then just even follow up with them at the right time. So what's the template? The template that we send out. So I'll include a link to a template that I just used. It's based off of a template that I got from Ryan at Basecamp. One recommendation I'll have for the template is pay for their time. Send out a gift card. We sent out a $100 Amex gift card to try to get people to do an hour interview. I've done no gift cards before. I've sent out emails. I didn't have as good of a response, like by a lot. I would I know you can say you appreciate everybody's time and thank them, but I think the gift card is actually a really nice gesture. So then the last tool I'll talk about that has been made this kind of helpful is just Calendly. I'll use Calendly to create a schedule for these meetings, and I want to keep them in a tight time frame. I mean, you could choose how to schedule these any way you want, but we're trying to do them so that, like, hey, we only have really this day to schedule. We only have these 2 days to schedule. If you've got a bunch of time and you don't mind, uploading a lot of dates of your availability, that's awesome. So you would add event type, one-on-one, create it, give it an event name, HighRise interview, I'll call you, that's the location. And then in the description instructions, I'll just quickly say the phone call will be a laid-back conversation, basically something that came from the email template. And that's about it. When can people book the event? I get 60 minutes, and I'll create it like I said, that little window. So I just did two 60-minute slots on Thursday and Friday. And again, this is how it suits you. Here's an important part of the Calendly. Using Calendly, or you could use Wufoo or whatever. Screening questions. So again, even though I mentioned it in the emails that I was sending out, I would mention it again in this here too. make sure that you ask for your name, ask for the email address, ask for the phone number that you can call them, and then make sure that they are the person who made the purchase. So ask, yes or no, are you the person who purchased the product for your organization? And when did you purchase it? Did you just purchase this 3 to 10 weeks ago or whatever? I would do that just again to make sure you're talking to the right person so you don't waste their time or your time for a whole hour. I'm gonna push high-rise again, doing these interviews and setting up the schedule and setting up like the workflow of who needs gift cards still, who said yes, who said maybe, who maybe expressed interest in doing these interviews, but then you might pass on them when they come up in your import. Sending out the bulk emails. It's helpful to have a tool like High-Rise to kind of do these. High-Rise is almost like one of the jobs to be done of High-Rise is doing jobs to be done interviews. Whoa, nice bouncing. Boom. Uh-oh. Ah!
Oh. Whoa.
One other thing I would say about it is I've taken a Udemy course before. That might be one of the better courses that are online that kind of covers all this stuff. There's other people who are talking about this. Read their stuff too. But I don't know, the Udemy thing comes from the people who kind of came up with this, who are pushing and really explored this whole framework. It's $300, I think. It's kind of a small price to pay for a course that really guides you through this. And again, I would do it and do the homework and take this really seriously and practice, because this is not as easy and simple as it appears.